I was fired, dumped, and evicted in the same week. Then Hurricane Eliza destroyed everything I had left. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. When the evacuation order came, I had exactly 3 things: a suitcase of clothes, my grandmother's ring, and a car with a quarter tank of gas. I was already living in a cheap motel after my ex kicked me out, claiming he needed space after 4 years together. The space he needed, I later discovered through Instagram, was for the yoga instructor he'd been seeing for months. The hurricane was supposed to turn east, but it didn't. As I joined the exodus of cars fleeing the coast, my phone rang. My mother calling from Arizona. Taylor, where are you? Are you safe? We hadn't spoken in 2 years, not since our fight about my poor life choices and my decision to drop out of nursing school to pursue photography, a career that had recently culminated in being fired from a portrait studio for lack of technical skill. I am fine, Mom, I lied, wiping tears as I inched forward in evacuation traffic. Everything's under control. Don't lie to me, I saw your location on our family tracker. You are still in the evacuation zone. I'd forgotten about the app we'd installed years ago. I am leaving now. Places. Where will you go? The question hung there. I had $143 to my name, no job, no apartment, no friends close enough to impose on. Her voice softened. Come home, Taylor. Pride made me hesitate. Desperation made me agree. I arrived at my childhood home 3 days later, my car sputtering on fumes. Mom stood in the doorway, her hair grayer than I remembered. We hugged awkwardly, years of distance between us. The news showed footage of the motel where I'd been staying, now a pile of broken lumber. My ex's apartment building had lost its roof. The portrait studio was underwater. Everything I had is gone, I whispered, staring at the Nong. Mom squeezed my hand. Not everything. That night, I found a dusty box in my old closet, my first camera, a Polaroid my grandfather gave me when I was 12. On a whim, I took it out back and photographed the sunset, the way the light filtered through the desert cacti. The image developed slowly, imperfect, but somehow more authentic than anything I'd shot in years. You always had a special eye, Mom said, looking over my shoulder, not like those cookie-cutter portraits they had you taking. The next morning, I drove to a nearby hiking trail and photographed hikers against the dramatic desert backdrop. One couple was so impressed they asked if I did wedding photography. By the end of the week, I had my first client. Mom cleared out her craft room for me to use as a studio. Just temporary, she said, until you get back on your feet. The raw, authentic style I developed, portraits set against the stark desert landscape, started gaining traction on social media. Local businesses wanted promotional shots. Then a travel magazine called about my unique Southwestern aesthetic. 6 months after the hurricane, I had enough clients to register my own business. A year later, I bought a small adobe house 10 minutes from Mom. We have dinner together every Sunday now. Yesterday, I received a message from my ex. He'd seen my work featured in a national magazine. Always knew you'd make it, he wrote. Miss you. I smiled as I deleted his message, remembering how the hurricane had swept away a life that wasn't working, making room for one that was. Sometimes you need to lose everything to find what really matters. Sometimes the storm is actually saving you.